Okay, scholars. So, this is Mano Ogribono, and I want to explain this triangle of forces as I promised yesterday. So, first and foremost, you guys know that to understand triangle of forces, you guys need to understand angles very well. So, I don't have time to make a complete video on angles, but I can explain complementary angles, alternate angles, supplementary angles and straight line angles to you guys because that is the cocoa, that's the basis for understanding this. So let me just explain it, starting with complementary angles. I know you may know it, but still listen to this part because you understand it better. So complementary angles, for instance, if you have two straight lines like this, right? These straight lines, they are parallel to each other. Then we now have another straight line that cuts them like this. Those two horizontal straight lines, right, they are parallel to each other. So this straight line, this first straight line here, and is if you move this first straight line downwards along this line that cut them is called the transversal. If you move this first straight line downwards along that transversal, you will get this second straight line. This is because they are parallel, right? So if you don't have this second straight line, for instance, eh, if you move this first straight line downwards along this transversal, sorry, this is the first straight line. If you move this, if you have this transversal, if you move this first straight line along this transversal, right, you're going to get this second straight line, right? This is because they are parallel. Now that's for complementary angles. Now in complementary angles, it's just like angles on the same side of the transverse of the lines are equal. So for instance, if you have this angle here as A, you see that this angle is between this line and this transversal and is under. So because this first line and the second line, they are similar, right? So it's going to be like this. If this is A, this will definitely be A because this first line and the second line, they are similar. Now if this is B, this one is on top, this one will also definitely be what? B, right? So that is just how it works. If this is C, this definitely will be C. Do we get that? Okay, so now I want to explain this one I just explained is for complementary angles. I now want to explain what alternating angles are. Alternating angles, we still call them Z angles. So look at this. I will use this first diagram now that we made to explain it, right? But first, let me just show you what it looks like. For instance, if you also have, I said if you have one straight line, then you have a transversal that cuts it, right? If you transfer this one straight line along this transversal, right, it's going to give you another straight line. For instance, if this straight line comes downwards, it's going to give you this straight line because this first straight line and this second straight line, they are parallel to each other. Now, Z angles, for instance, you see that this place like this forms Z, abi? That means this angle here, if this is A, this will also definitely be A. You see that this one here like this forms Z also. So if this is B, this definitely will be B. Do you get it? Now I want to use it to explain this first diagram that we drew here. So I'm going to erase some things. Yes, I'm going to erase some things. So let's say we erase this, right? Let's say we erase this, and let's say we erase this, for instance. So now, remember, like this, like this, like this from Z. That means if this is A, this will also be what? A, right? And like this, um, yes, that will also be A, right? So that is also that. And also, you know that what we also say about complementary angles, that if this is B, this one here will also be what? B. So that means if this is A, this is also what? B. That means A is equals to B. Do you get? That is that about complementary and Z angles. Now I want to explain what supplementary angles are. So supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180. So me, I personally call them N angles, like N angles. And this what I mean by that. For instance, if you have a straight line, right, you have a transversal. If you transfer this straight line downwards, it's going to give you this because they are parallel. Now, n angles. If you look at this forms n, abi. Now they will always give you 180 degrees. So if this is A and this is B, if you add A plus B together, it must give you 180 degrees. If this is C and this is D, if you add C plus D together, it must give you 180 degrees. So that is what n angles is talking about. Do you get? Also, let me just use this to now recap on what I've said before. Now, if this is B is lying here, right? This one on top here will also be what? B, because they are what? Complementary on the same side of the transversal. This is the transversal, this straight line, right? Now, if this is D on top of the transversal, this one here too, on top of this other transver on top of that other line, you also be what? D. Do you get it? And also we also know that from Z angles, this like this, like this, like this, like this one I'm highlighting like this forms Z, abi. So that means this side will be equals to this side. That means we already know that A is equals to what? D from Z angles, abi. So that is that. So now I want to explain what angle on a straight line mean. So angle on a straight line, you have this for instance, right? This line, then you have a transversal, then you have this other line. So we said that if this is A, according to complementary angles, this will also be what? Let's say this is B, because A and B they are complementary. We'll say A equals to B, abi complementary angles, abi no. So we also said that from Z angles, right? If from Z angles like this, like this, like this, right? If this is B and this is C, right? From Z angles, this angle here will be equal to this angle here. That means B equals to C. Z angles or alternating angles, right? Now, you also said something that if this is D, because this forms N angles, right? N angles or supplementary angles, we know that C plus D will give us what? 180 degrees. We already know that one. Now I want to talk about angle on a straight line. Now, you know this is the transversal, this is a straight line, right? So if this is C and this is, for instance, this is E, because this is a straight line, angle on a straight line is 180. Now you know that C plus E is also 180. Well, this video is good, but it's just explaining angles, so I'll continue now. I'll explain the triangle of forces in the next video. Okay, now, so if you look at this diagram, you see three forces, right? This first force, F1, F2, and F3, they are all acting at this point, right? They are all acting at that center point. So when you have a system of forces like this, where there are three forces acting at a point, we are going to use the triangle of forces, right? The triangle of forces. And that triangle of forces is not difficult at all. What it's just saying is you pick a particular force. You can start, there are three forces, right? So you can start with any one of the forces. So when you start with that one or any one of that force, you arrange the other force so that they are flowing together. They will form a closed loop, right? A closed triangle that is flowing in the same direction. So basically, you just want to form a triangle like this. See, a triangle where the flow, it will continue following the same direction, but you pick one of the sides. So let me just show you something. It's not difficult. If you say you want to pick F1, for instance, here, it's going to, you just first picture it in your head. You can pick F1 like this, then the second force must flow in the same direction as F1. So which one is going to flow in the same direction as F1? If you pick F1 like this, it means you have to bring F3 here, yeah. When you pick F3 here, then it means you have to bring this F2 backwards to come like this to form it complete. That is if you pick F1 first. If you pick F2 first, for instance, F2 will be like this, abi F2. Then which other one will you bring that will be flowing in the same direction as F2? For instance, if you bring F2 like this as you've done, you can bring this F1 here, you can bring it here like this will now be F1 abi. Then you now bring this F3 here to complete it like this will now be F3. So this is when we started with F2. If you want to start with F3, for instance, F3 like this abi. So as F3 is like this now, you can just bring as F3 is like this, right? You can bring this, F2 here. Sorry, I was thinking about something, not about this sha. You can bring this F2 here, right? So this F3 is like this. You can bring this F2 backwards here. You see they're not flowing in the same direction. Then you now bring F1 like this. Do you get it? So any one your brain just tell you you want to start with, you just know it can work. It can definitely work. Do you get?